That night, I couldn't take my eyes off my son. Every time I looked at him, I felt the same icy chill, the same nagging suspicion. It was his eyes, large, expressive, and strikingly familiar. But familiar in a way that unsettled me. I tried to dismiss the thought. Surely it was my mind playing tricks on me, fueled by my own paranoia. But the more I tried to push it away, the more it clung to me, gnawing at the edges of my sanity. Capitu noticed my unease. She approached me as I stood by the crib, her expression concerned. "Bento," she said softly, "what's wrong?" I hesitated, unsure of how to voice the thoughts swirling in my mind. Finally, I turned to her and said, "He doesn't look like me." Her face froze, the color draining from her cheeks. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that our son doesn't look like me," I repeated, my voice trembling with a mixture of anger and despair. "He looks like Escobar." Her reaction was immediate. Her eyes filled with tears, and she took a step back, as if my words had struck her like a physical blow. "How dare you?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "How dare you say such a thing?" "Because it's true," I said, my voice rising. "I've seen the way you look at him, the way he looks at you. And now this is proof." "That's absurd," she cried. "He's your son, Bento! How can you even question that?" "Because I can't trust you," I shouted, the words echoing through the room. "Not after everything I've seen, everything I've felt." Her tears turned to anger. "You're letting your jealousy destroy us," she said, her voice sharp. "You're willing to tear our family apart over nothing." "Nothing?" I repeated, my voice dripping with bitterness. "You call this nothing?" The argument escalated, our voices rising until they filled the entire house. Capitu defended herself passionately, insisting on her innocence, while I hurled accusation after accusation, each one more venomous than the last. Finally, she turned to leave, her shoulders shaking with suppressed sobs. "If you can't believe me, if you can't trust me," she said, her voice breaking, "then there's nothing more to say." She left the room, leaving me alone with my thoughts and my doubts. The days that followed were filled with silence. Capitu avoided me, spending most of her time in the nursery with our son. I, in turn, retreated into myself, consumed by my suspicions. Began to scrutinize my son more closely, searching for traits that might prove or disprove my fears. Every smile, every gesture, every expression became a clue in the case I was building against Capitu. But the more I looked, the more I saw Escobar in him. One evening, Escobar came to visit. As he entered the house, I felt a surge of anger rise within me. How dare he come here, into my home, as if nothing were wrong? We sat in the parlor, exchanging polite conversation. But my mind was elsewhere, consumed by thoughts of betrayal. At one point, Escobar turned to me and said, "Bento, you've been acting strangely lately. Is everything all right?" I wanted to confront him then and there, to demand the truth. But something held me back, fear perhaps, or pride. Instead, I simply nodded and said, "Everything's fine." He looked at me for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he nodded, as if accepting my answer, and changed the subject. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, replaying the events of the day in my mind. The doubts, the suspicions, the accusations, they were consuming me, eating away at my soul. And then, in the darkness, a thought occurred to me. A way to find the truth once and for all. Sometimes the search for answers can lead us down a path we can never return from. In the next chapter, I'll reveal the drastic step I took to uncover the truth and the devastating consequences that followed. Don't miss it.